Gender inequality and women in the U.S. labor force. Gender pay gaps persist around the world, including in the United States. According to public information collected by the International Trade Union Confederation, ITUC, the global gender pay gap ranges from 3% to 51% with a global average of 17%, ITUC 2009. Highlights in the U.S. Equality in pay has improved in the U.S. since 1979 when women earned about 62% as much as men. In 2010, American women on average earned 81% of what their male counterparts earned, BLS 2010, DOL 2011. Women's participation in the U.S. labor force climbed during the 1970s and 1980s, reaching 60% in 2000. However, in 2010 this figure has declined to 46.7% and is not expected to increase by 2018, DOL 2011. The Great Recession of 2007 to 2010 affected men and women differently. Men lost more jobs than women in the recession but also experienced a steadier recovery. 1 in 5 women are working part-time because they cannot find full-time work, while at the start of the recession less than 1 in 10 women were doing so. Despite these developments, the overall unemployment rate for women is lower than men's, and they are also less likely to be among the long-term unemployed. Women are 50% more likely to work in the public sector. Women surpass men on education attainment among those employed aged 25 and over. 37.1% of women hold at least a bachelor's degree compared to 34.9% for men, DOL 2011. Where are women employed? In 2010, there were approximately 65 million women in the labor force, and 53% of these women were concentrated in 3 industries: A. Education and health services, B. Trade, transportation and utilities, and C. Local government, BLS 2011A. Women were overrepresented in several industries and underrepresented in others. For example, in 2010, women represented 79% of the health and social services workforce and 68.6% of the education services workforce. However, women represented only 43.2% of the professional, scientific and technical services sector and 8.9% of the construction sector, DOL 2011. Low-wage households. The Government Accountability Office, GAO, in a recent report shows that in 2010 women constituted 59% of the low-wage workforce. Less educated women were more likely than less educated men to work part-time. On average, 29% of women and 15% of men worked part-time in 2010. Also, according to the GAO report, single-woman households had the lowest total annual income of all households, averaging about $27,000. 57% of the household income, or about $15,000, came from their personal wage and salary earnings. The remaining $12,000 came from other sources, such as government benefits and other household members' earnings. Without income from these other sources, the low-wage single-mother households would be well below the poverty level of $22,314, or $10.73 per hour, full-time, for a family of 4, GAO 2011. Women in corporations. In terms of women in leadership positions, in 2009 only 24% of CEOs in the U.S. were women, and they earned 74.5% as much as male CEOs, BLS 2010 p.9. The Harvard Business School, in conjunction with Catalyst, recently released a research report regarding the level of corporate social responsibility, CSR, of Fortune 500 companies with respect to the amount of women on the company's boards of directors and serving as corporate officers. Of the Fortune 500 companies, in 2007, companies with 3 or more women on the board of directors averaged 28 times more money in philanthropic donations than those with no women, according to the report. Also, companies with 25% or more women in leadership positions as corporate officers averaged 13 times more philanthropic donations than those with none, Catalyst and HBS 2011.
I'm gonna be pissed as fuck if I wind up sitting in the Supreme Court, dude.